Hi, and welcome to the Branch and Bloom podcast, where heritage takes root and families flourish. I'm Christina.
And I am Jessica.
Today, we are going to discuss some hot button issues that might be approaching with this season.
Yes.
When we have gatherings, sometimes, even when we don't have gatherings, sometimes we see things differently from one generation to another.
We came up with this list with the help of the internet, the hot button issues that impact families while you're raising children, where there might be a divide, between the grandparents and the parents. What generation are you?
I'm X.
Gen X.
You're
or
millennial.
The boomers. There's still some boomer grandparents.
It depends on when you become a grandparent.
Yeah.
I was a younger grandparent.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm millennial, but then we also have Gen Z coming up.
Yes.
And there is a whirlwind of crazy that happens on the internet, especially on social media, surrounding the holidays, because people can't get along. So we thought we would address some of these hot button topics and give a little bit of perspective from each generation, but also what would be the most God-honoring biblical way to handle these problems in real life scenarios.
Right.
But we really just want this to prep you to walk in grace for this holiday season and also have a little bit of fun.
Yes, always.
So let's get started.
All right. One of the things that we have had to deal with.
We have to deal with it like every year.
Yes, is the schedule. And it started out as, you start out when you have your kids and you have your routine, and this is the day we always celebrate Christmas as a family. And this is when we always go to the grandparents' house. And then your children start to get married and things shift. And you might still, we still have kids in the home when you got married. But then you're going to invite other families in. Then you have an in-law. You have an in-law in that family. So that gets kind of sticky on how to visit everyone, when to have your time together, to celebrate your traditions and just have fun together. You want it to just be a good time. Yeah. You just want it to be a good time. You just want to give your grandkids and your kids presents.
Yes. And then you have these spoiled brats. I'm just teasing. But you have the generation who's raising their kids and they're trying to bring in their new family into the fold and become part of those traditions as well. And feeling a lot of pressure to be at everyone's house for an acceptable amount of time and also not feel like you're going to be totally run ragged and your kids are all just having meltdowns constantly because everyone's exhausted.
Yes.
One of the things that came up when we were doing our research was, you're only going to stay at my house 2 hours, and from the grandparents' perspective.
Yes.
And from the parents' perspective, saying, we're going to have Christmas morning at our house from now on.
Right.
Which, is interesting that I have seen this as a trend. Your generation really wanting these extended periods of time with their children to the exclusion many times of thinking about the spouse and the spouse's family possibly also wanting time with their children and grandchildren. So it's interesting, and it's a hard topic to broach.
It is. And I think part of it, I think about my parents' generation. And even my grandparents, they always got together Christmas Day. Still to this day, that group of siblings still gets together Christmas Day. And I think it got to the point where there's too many people to try to appease everyone. So this is when we're going to have it. We want you to be there. Hopefully you can make it. If you can't, you can't. If you can only stay for 2 hours, we just have to accept that's what we're going to get. And that's okay.
And something that, at least in our family, has really shifted from one generation to the next is how many people live out of state.
Yes.
And so people are traveling long distances to both sides of the family. Sometimes both sides of the family are spread apart.
Yes.
And so then you have to get into maybe you're going to alternate one Christmas with this side, one with the next, or you're going to have these couple days with this family and then these days with the other side. It can get it can get tricky.
It can. And personally, I don't fault the kids for wanting that. For, like my kids, for wanting to maybe alternate years. It's hard. I want all my kids together every time we could possibly be together. But I understand it just doesn't always work like that. And I'm not the only parent.
Right.
I'm not the only grandparent.
And I understand from the grandparents' perspective, being like, I really would like to have Christmas actually near Christmas.
Yes.
Not on New Year's.
Right.
I can understand that perspective as well, because
you'll understand it even more,
I think,
as your kids get older.
Yeah, that's
and
what I
you're
was
put in that
say.
position. Yeah.
I think a good way of thinking about it is put ourselves in someone else's shoes. We don't know exactly what that's going to be like. Right. However, we can use our imaginations. And if our kids are like, yeah, I'm pretty much never going to prioritize you. Sorry.
Yeah. Won't be coming home at Christmas ever.
That would be really hard for me. I would, I mean, there's not much you could do about it once your kids are grown.
That's exactly right.
But I think that if we can see it from someone else's perspective, that's a sign of maturity.
Yes.
And then plan our schedule accordingly. While still, I unapologetically do have Christmas morning at our own home with our children. Yeah. Now, my sister would say they always do theirs early because then they travel.
They have to travel, and there's a whole different level of like flexibility
and so
that is required.
She doesn't have quite as much of. She's not as married to like the date. She's like, whenever we could just all get together.
Right.
So that will be different from person to person.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think a lot of it is personality based. And I know that people in my generation sometimes are more rigid about what they want when they want it. And
I think it's because they prioritized their parents.
Yes.
In that past generation.
Right. And the parents didn't really have, my grandparents didn't really have to make such a big deal about it because it was just kind of assumed. It was just an easier, like you could still do Christmas at home whenever you wanted to and still go to the grandparents on both sides. And you may not stay. We didn't stay forever. We didn't stay long.
That's what I was going to say. One thing that I like that my generation in general is trying to do is to give more time with each side of the family. And that's something we've discussed amongst us as siblings this year is how do we slow things down a little bit? So while we're eating, let's say we have our biscuits and gravy Christmas Eve morning breakfast, we're not saying, okay, wait, we've only got like 30 minutes and then we need to be out the door and we need to make sure everybody's got their shoes on.
No pressure.
Yeah. Hopefully the toddler falls asleep on the way and they can get a little bit of a nap in. And, how can we slow this down and make this just a little less chaotic? Yeah,
less chaotic, more enjoyable. Yeah, and it is fun. I mean, even in the chaos, I still have good memories.
So do I.
All that, but that scheduling is real. I think for my generation, the greatest encouragement I would get is just hold on loosely to these things. Try to be grateful that okay, maybe we can't get together 24th or 25th, but at least we're getting together and just try not to cling too closely to some of those like very specific dates. And also, while I think it is important for our kids to have a sense of, I don't want to say obligation. That's not the word I'm looking for. Duty. But I do think like you want them to feel like I want to be with my family. It's a priority. It's important. And I think we should all be together. I also want them to be able to develop their own traditions. And so I think there's some importance in just being flexible. It's not going to look like our parents' generation. It's just not.
And the celebration in general was probably a little simpler.
It definitely was simpler.
I have to toot mom's horn, because you made it very easy for us this year in saying, listen, yes, ideally this is how it would look, but I'm holding on loosely. That's the words she used for you. She's used to us. And it's really just whatever works for everybody. And that removes the pressure. And surprise, surprise, that really makes us want to be like, try to make it happen to where we can give, she's not putting this pressure on us. We want to try to give our parents what we know will make them happy. Right. So full disclosure, I think that sometimes this hits the hardest with in-laws. And my in-laws have always worked so graciously.
Yes.
They moved their whole celebration a few years back so that I could be with them. We could be with them and we could be with all my siblings when all my siblings were able to be in town. So I hit the in-law jackpot. I just did. I love my husband's family.
Yes.
I just do.
And that does make it more enjoyable and exciting.
It does.
To go be with them.
You want, like I keep saying, when we love each other, we want to give each other the thing that would make each other happy. Right. But my biggest encouragement to my generation is to have that attitude. Your parents and your husband's parents wanting to hang out with you isn't really something to get defensive about. These could be happy memories. So to approach it, believing the best about the person who's trying to schedule, trying to see it from someone else's perspective, knowing how you hope things might look in 20 years when it's your children's children, and just approach it from that. And you might not be able to make it to every event.
That's okay.
And you should try to prioritize some of your own family traditions, but to do it from a position of being grateful and gracious.
Yes. What's next? Holiday menu sugar. Oh, goodness.
Oh, goodness. Okay. I'm scared.
I know.
Holiday menu and sugar content.
Sugar.
All right. So the consensus is that my generation and Gen Z, the people raising their babies now, they want less sugar. They don't want those artificial flavors and dyes. Right. They want real food.
I know.
No offense.
I think about the things that we ate when I was a kid, and even when you were a little kid.
Oh, I know.
Now, I feel like this is where the generation overlap is a little bit off, because I feel like we are more cautious about sugar.
I think, too, we brainwashed you a little bit.
We did a whole 30 together. We did a whole 30 together
a decade ago, and I feel like that was a big turning point.
It was. I did. Well, you don't know what you don't know, and I didn't know.
It's true.
So I think I understand more. I have more of an appreciation.
Okay, but let's get down to brass tacks, because we had our Thanksgiving early celebration, and whenever I talked about removing dairy for a couple of the kids, how easy was that idea for you?
We celebrated Thanksgiving a little bit early, because
that was when people could be here.
That's when people could be here. And so she was like, well, but did you make, what was it?
You were talking.
I said, I made the green bean casserole. I didn't buy cream of soup. I made it from scratch, but it was still dairy. But it was made from scratch with clean ingredients, and it had a little bit of gluten because I used real flour in that.
Yeah.
One of the kids absolutely just loves the traditional flavors. One of my kids.
So you're trying to please a lot of people.
Yes, and then making mashed potatoes. So we did one set of mashed potatoes dairy, and then I made a little bit of non-dairy mashed potatoes. I made a little can of plain green beans, so we would have green beans. What was the other thing, though? You said, but did you put this in there? What was that?
Was it the
butter? Dressing? It was cornbread dressing, but I put dairy in it because it needed milk, and I didn't use. I should have used almond milk, but I used regular milk.
It's okay, but you used gluten-free. You were trying.
I tried to use gluten-free cornbread mix, so it is. I'm not going to pretend it's not. Hard. From my perspective, it is hard, because this is not the way I was raised cooking. This isn't the way I cooked the majority of my adult years, and it has gotten easier.
Yeah,
but it's still. It's a lot of thinking. And it's hard.
And at the holidays is when you want that feeling that you got when you did have your children. And what were you making? You were opening that can of cream of mushroom soup, baby girl.
That's right.
You were. There were things that it was fine, because there's always more than enough food. We talked about in a different episode, as someone who has children with food issues that are not just preferences. I just always bring something. So I know that there's going to be, and you have to ask questions, which feels awkward. It feels really awkward. Like, it is hard not to feel bad from my perspective.
Sure. Yeah.
It's hard because you don't want to offend someone. And sometimes food allergies are very offensive.
Yeah.
Now there is more of an understanding that we are seeing something different in this coming generation with food issues. So I think most people do believe it now. I think there was a time when it was sort of like, this is just a trend. This is just a fad.
Yes.
And then it would feel very offensive if you couldn't eat something.
I made that just for you. I made it just the way you always liked it. But I think that there's also like has been a generational shift in understanding about the food situation, because like maybe in my parents' generation they would have said, oh, this is what we always ate, this is what we were raised on, this is what we raised you on, and you were fine. But also I had never heard of eczema, I had never heard of peanut or gluten issues, dairy issues. I knew nothing of these things. I'm sure people were still having some of these issues, but not to the degree.
What do you think, for your perspective, what
Yeah,
is the best way to deal with it?
I honestly think that if you really think, okay, these are the recipes I love to make and they have dairy and gluten in them, make them. If that's really what you want to do, you can also ask the kids. Like, say, for instance, I asked her to make the sweet potatoes. That's something her kids could eat, regardless of what else is available. Now, while I'm making mashed potatoes, before I put the milk and the butter and stuff in there, I just take some of the mashed potatoes out for about how many people are dairy free. That's just how I roll. So that's an option. You can edit the recipe. You can also just have, I could have asked you, will you also bring mashed
Mm-hmm.
potatoes or
Mm-hmm.
green bean casserole modified?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like it's overwhelming. If you feel like you got it in you, then go ahead and make all the things. If you feel like you can do the regular menu and the alternate menu, that's great. I was just talking to one of my kids though, and I said, we may have to just rethink our traditional recipes, because more and more of my kids and grandkids are having food issues. And so I think that's fair. And I think it's okay. We get really hung up on, I get hung up. I shouldn't say we. I get hung up on like, I want this, 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 and this, because this is what I've had my whole adult life
That's
and
when
my
it
whole
will
childhood.
feel like Thanksgiving or feel like
Yes,
Christmas.
yes. But we're allowed to shift. You can pivot and hold on loosely. Once again, just hold on loosely. Be flexible. It's okay. But it does get overwhelming. The food thing is overwhelming.
I was going to
Mhm.
say, listening to you say you could make the whole meal twice over, well, that
Right.
feels really overwhelming.
It does.
I would say for my generation, whether it's that you don't want your kids eating quite as much sugar or refined sugar, or they have legitimate food sensitivities or allergies, know what's going to be provided.
Mm-hmm.
Be okay asking the questions. I have gotten way better at just thinking this is just a neutral question. This is not me saying that you did a poor job.
Mm-hmm.
I have in the past been very worried that people would take me saying what's in this as like an accusation.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want someone to feel like that, because they're providing a service and an
Right.
act of love to you in providing food for you and your family.
And I think even before the day or before you show up, if you're having a conversation in passing with your, be like, Christmas is coming, we're going to be there, Thanksgiving. Um, I'll probably bring a couple things that the kids can eat. You don't have to say like, we probably won't be able to eat your mashed potatoes. You can just say, I'll probably bring a couple things that the kids, these kids can have.
That's
That way it's
yes.
not in the moment after someone's cooked all day and prepared this feast, and then you come in and say, what's in this? We can't eat that. I think if you can,
Yeah, in advance.
preemptively address the
Right.
issue.
That was kind of where I was going with that too, because I think the best course of action
Mm-hmm.
would be to now if you're with your people, they might already know what you can
Right.
eat.
Right.
Like I said before, I hit the in-law jackpot. So my mother-in-law always provides at least some of the foods that everyone can eat.
Right.
Especially the meat. And so then if there's just one other thing, even like then that's just what it is. And I try to bring a dessert so they have the fun food.
Sure.
The kids are generally so busy, ready to like play with each other, cousins hanging out, that they're not as worried about the food as what we are, right? Bring something. Also, it can be really stressful for people who have never had to worry about what dairy is. Because I've had multiple people ask me, are eggs dairy?
Right.
And they're not. Is butter dairy? Yes, it is. It's a lot to put on someone to say, these are all of our things. And I have literally seen on social media people talk about the toxic environment of going to specifically their in-laws' homes because they do more sugar or they don't understand their food sensitivities and they take it very personally. Don't take that personally. That's not a personal attack on you. This is very much neutral. This is a neutral thing that people can do different ways. So if you know there will not be food for you and your family that you feel comfortable eating or that you're able to eat, just bring something.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it a little more work? Yes. But it's way more work to expect you to make 2 green bean casseroles and 2 whole turkeys.
I also think, from my perspective in our generation, that it is a way to love on our kids, to make the things that their kids can eat, our grandkids can eat. So, for instance, you've gone places where people do make things that are gluten-free and dairy-free.
It is a big blessing.
It is a blessing, and you feel so like loved on, like they took the time to do that.
Once again, we have to meet each other with grace, I think,
Yes.
and be willing to view the other person in the best light possible.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's asking you about your ingredients, it's not because they don't like you.
Right.
And if someone,
or they think you're a bad cook.
Yeah. Right, and if someone made something, mashed potatoes with butter and milk, yum, delicious, that doesn't mean they don't like you.
Right.
It's not a personal attack.
Right.
I think that's where I would.
Yes. Number 3 is gifts.
Gifts.
Right. Am I giving the gifts for me, or am I giving the gifts for them? That's the question I have to ask myself.
Well, I think that my generation could say the same thing. Am I giving the gifts for them, or am I giving the gifts for my aesthetic?
Oh, that's true.
Burn.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do like to give things that the kids want or need. I'm a pretty practical gifter. Even just recently, I always send out a text like, tell me what your kids need. Tell me what they want. I like to give books. But I do, sometimes they might need a coat. They might need boots.
Yes.
They might need sheets, new sheets for their bed or something. I would much rather give something like that. So I think it's nice to keep those things in mind. It doesn't always have to be glitzy, flashy, battery operated.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean I don't want to get the glitzy battery operated.
Sometimes you do get it.
I do.
And we accept it.
Yeah. And you keep it at my house sometimes.
We have kept some gifts at Nana's house.
I'm okay with that.
We did have that discussion though before. I think you kind of know, like, okay, this might stay.
Yes. Yeah.
Not as much anymore. But when we had 4 all little, we came home with all these talking
Ting,
toys.
Bang, bang, bang. Yeah.
So there was that. But I do think that I also saw, this was a couple years ago, I saw somebody have like some reel or short, and it was like they were sweeping up after Christmas. And it was the mom, and she just sort of swept up the plastic toys and threw them away.
Oh, burn.
That makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I do think we should be gracious givers and receivers.
I think it's wasteful to do that. I mean, if anything, don't throw it away. At least regift it or thrift it.
And I'm sure this was for shock effect,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But of course, it is nice if you give a list to the grandparents and you know the things your kids have been asking for or things they need, or you think they would really, really like it. Just trying to spread the joy of gift giving.
That's right.
So it's not all the joys coming right from you and your bank account.
Yes.
And so it's nice if they're going to spend the money that it's not a waste and something that your kids end up not playing with. I love traditional toys, like heirloom types, like blocks, the things that all generations have loved forever, open-ended.
Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get people who just get what they want to get. Like they may see some, the kids would love this, or this child would love this.
Yeah.
And it might be like something electronic and something you'd be like, I would never get that.
But even we have sometimes even approached some gifts as like, I understand that we're spending $50 on this racetrack and they will want to play with it for this winter only.
Yeah.
But then I think that is $50 of joy for the winter.
Yes. But I'm thinking like there could be a grandparent who gets just whatever they want to get your kids. And that's, once again, here we go. Grace. Just extend grace. And don't
question.
Throw it away.
Do you have to keep, I don't like to do this, but do you have to keep the gifts you've been given, or can you exchange them?
Oh, that might be generational. That makes me super. I would keep that thing. I'd keep it. Yeah, I don't think I couldn't exchange it.
What
That's my
if it
take.
gets shoved to the back of the closet and never used? What's the
If the
acceptable?
child doesn't like the toy or the thing, then I think that's a different story. If the child's like, I don't like this, I'm never going to play with this, I think that's different. But if you as a parent are like, I don't like that toy for my child, even though it's just a harmless toy, I would vote keep. You keep it. You let your kid have it.
Okay. Can I ask another hard question?
Yeah,
So then are you teaching your children ungratefulness by saying, oh, you don't like it, honey, we'll get you a different one?
maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah.
where this gets hard.
It does. I mean, this was not an option. Like when you guys were kids, you got stuff, you liked it, you played with it.
Okay, but some people are way more pragmatic and they're going to
Mhm.
say, listen, I don't have room in my house.
But that's another.
With the things that come in, I really want to be things that we actually use. Minimalism has taken off lately, like in the last decade or so.
Once again, that is a conversation that needs to be had before the day you get together and exchange gifts.
I agree. I think that would
You
solve a
have
lot
the
of it.
conversation. It doesn't have to be an ugly conversation. That's just say that. Like, listen, we don't have a lot of square footage, or I'm trying to keep things to a minimum. I really want the kids to appreciate the things they have. We don't want to have as many things.
There are like experiences.
Yes, yes.
We did an experience gift. We got a small thing for the kids on a different side of the family, but then we did like a Dude Perfect concert.
Yes,
Was the gift.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids ended up loving it. It was
Right.
so fun.
So that's an option too. If it comes down to material items being overwhelming, then think of experiences you want, or tickets to the zoo.
But is it
something.
weird for your generation to even have to have that conversation? You would never have said that to your parents.
Never. It would be awkward, but it's a different time. Times they are changing.
Yeah. Either way, I think be grateful if your thoughts of what is appropriate isn't met. Like
Right.
as far as like plastic, wood, loud, not loud, open-ended, closed-ended, has a cheesy Paw Patrol on it or something.
Yeah.
Be gracious, be a gracious receiver. Usually when people get a gift for someone, it's because they've thought about
That's
it.
right.
And so I personally am not very good at like giving gifts. I like to receive gifts. I like to give gifts, but it's never like the biggest thing on my mind.
I'm not a creative gifter. That's probably why I like giving practical gifts.
Yeah.
I'm not
but
real
some
creative.
people love it. And so I think know your people, because
Yeah.
if someone loves giving gifts and you really poo-poo on the gift they gave, that's going to hurt their feelings.
Yes, because they have spent hard-earned money and they've taken time to do it, to make it, to buy it, to decide what to get. So yeah, it's a sensitive issue. I think it is. And I think we need to be gracious.
I think it's also not wrong to take into account the things that the parents are saying. This is something they've talked about nonstop. Okay, great. I'll get that. It might feel, though, less creative for people who like to get creative with their gift giving.
That's very true. Because once again, I'm not a creative gifter, so it doesn't offend me. I love it, actually. Tell me what to give. That takes all the pressure off of me. And I know you're not going to throw it away or stick it in the back of the closet.
There's lots of ways to work around it, but I do think it's important to have these conversations in advance.
I do too. That would be my greatest piece of advice, from food to gathering times to gifts, to just talk about it. And don't make it like a big tense, like, listen, we need to talk about this. Just talk about it. And I think that's going to head off a lot of...
Hey, I think that this year we are going to try to keep it more minimal with our Christmas gifts.
This means I can't spend $500?
Well, you can if you want, but maybe, little Johnny Tremaine.
Go with it.
Little Johnny Tremaine.
Where they come from? You've been teaching history too long.
I haven't read Johnny Tremaine in years. Okay, little Johnny has really been wanting piano lessons.
Okay.
So that might be
great.
a great idea. Oh, have you seen those Mark Rober subscription boxes where they can do science experiments each month? If you have a big budget, that would be something that Johnny Tremaine would love. Those conversations.
Sometimes those things do make you look like the best grandparent, because that has happened before, where they're like, how did you know? This is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah,
You can be the hero.
you could be the hero. But let's do some more role play.
Okay. All right, let's do
Let's
it.
say, let's talk about food.
Okay, let's do it.
So you're really stressed out about this.
Yes.
How are you coming at me with your stress?
Um,
Ideally.
ideally, I'm going to say, so I'm going to have these things and I'm going to make them dairy-free, gluten-free. But then I'm going to have these other things that I'm probably just going to make the way we've always made them.
If that's what you say, I'm saying, okay, great, fine. That's perfect. I'll bring something on the side.
Great.
But what if you say, I just don't know how to do that?
Oh, I don't know how to make dairy-free, gluten-free. What do you mean to do? I don't even know what dairy-free, gluten-free is.
You know what? If you're able to set aside just a few of your potatoes before you mash them, then I'll bring a couple. I'll bring like a salad and a side or a dessert, and it'll be fine. It'll be great.
Great. See, that would be so easy. And that is basically how we
That's
do it.
basically, yeah.
That's usually how we do it.
And
I can't come to you and say, like, I got to cook for 20 people and you expect me to make gluten-free, dairy-free?
no, we don't want to have a total meltdown on each other.
No, it's not worth it.
You have stuck with us for this episode, and we're so thankful.
Yeah.
I do hope that this will give you sort of the grounding to just approach one another with graciousness. That's the thing that keeps coming to my mind. To not be easily offended.
Right.
Do not be easily angered.
Mm-hmm.
Keep no record of wrongs. Let last year go by the wayside and start fresh this year.
That's right.
Whether
and
that's talk it out.
And talk about it. I think so many conflicts could be avoided if you just talk about
organically.
it.
Less, not like, listen, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
That
and
gets
not
people
in the moment.
No.
Not in the moment. No. Preemptively go to whatever you got to do, whatever you got to talk about. Try to do that before you're getting together. It's going to make it a lot
I agree.
more enjoyable.
I totally agree.
For stories of home, I want to talk a little bit about Christmas coloring books. That is something, since I was a child, we have always had coloring books that had some kind of Christmas theme to them. I do have to confess that when I was a child, I would always try to at least miss one day of school in December. There was something very, I don't know what it was, very sweet about staying home from school, laying on the floor in front of the Christmas tree and coloring. Not that my kids did the missing a day of school, but we have always had the coloring books. And still to this day, we have the Christmas coloring books.
Yeah.
And I've already purchased a couple new ones for this year, and they're already getting filled up.
Yeah. I need to order mine.
Yeah.
So that would be something really easy and inexpensive to add to your Christmas memory repertoire.
Yeah. It's very
Christmas
easy.
Coloring books.
Yeah.
Fresh crayons.
All my life. I still color with the kids because it's just part of what we do.
It's part of who I
am. It is.
We want to leave you with a Bible verse that undergirds all of this and highlights how we will speak to one another. And that is from Colossians 4. I'm going to read it now. It's in verse 6. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. That is true whether we are talking about big issues of life, sharing the gospel, and that is true when we're talking about what we're eating for Christmas dinner. That's right. So go in peace and in graciousness and enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.